So with the likes of Chase, American Express, and Capital One usually in the spotlight, issuers like Citi often get ignored. But especially in recent years, Citi has really beefed up their offerings and honestly compete head-to-head with some of the best, with even more rumored cards to come. And that's on top of products like the OG credit card, which is essentially the foundation for all credit card comparisons. Whenever people compare credit cards to determine if they're worth it or not, this is the card they compare to. And the reason why, unless your new card is giving you more value than this card, then it's essentially not worth it. And that card is the good old Citi Double Cash card, a card that's good in basically anyone's wallet. Because not only does it have no annual fees whatsoever, it will give you a 2% cash back on everything you spend, 1% when you spend it, and 1% when you pay it off, with no special category restrictions or limits on the amount of spend. So even if you spend $100,000, you're gonna get at least $2,000 of value back into your pockets. And the at least is because you'll be given this in points. So 200,000 points, which you can then convert into cashback at 1 cent per point, giving you the original $2,000 or 2% cashback, which was enabled by a change that really kicked off the power of these cards. Because not too long ago, the rewards you get from this card was direct cashback. And as of March of 2022, they changed it to points instead. Now, not only can you convert those points back into the same cashback rate, you'll also get the increased flexibility by combining your points to other Citi cards with other redemption options that could give you even more value, but more on that later. Then for those of you that may need it, there is a 0% intro APR offer for the first 18 months. Though one of the first lessons and golden rules of credit cards is to try and pay off your bill in full every single month. But if you really want to take advantage of the 0% offer, then make sure you're not anywhere near the limit in case you get hit with the insane 20% plus interest rates. One main downside of this card though is it almost never has a welcome bonus, with the previous one being in November of 2022 offering $200 after a $1,500 of spend, which is the only drawback when compared to a card like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, which regularly has a welcome bonus. Although on the Chase side, this card will only give you 1.5 times and have a lot of overlapping categories between their different cards, versus 2 times here on the Double Cash, with the other Citi cards really staying in their lane, each doing an excellent job in their own individual roles. Which leads us to the next and more recent addition to the Citi lineup, coming on the market to basically go head to head with the Chase Freedom Flex card, which it not only competes with, but outperforms it in certain aspects, especially around the freedom and flexibility you get to choose your own adventure with the Citi Custom Cash card. And that's because unlike the Chase Freedom Flex card, which requires you to A, activate your quarterly categories, and B, being stuck with whichever categories Chase chooses for that quarter, on the Custom Cash side, you get to kind of choose which category you want that elevated bonus in, which can differ every single month if you want to. Maybe one month you're going on an extended road trip and will be filling up gas a lot. Then the next month you're hosting family and friends, so you splurge on groceries. And then maybe you work on some renovations with lots of shopping at home improvement stores. Well, you can get 5 times points for those categories of spend across 3 different months, up to a $500 per month limit, with additional categories spanning restaurants, select travel, transit, and a few more. In fact, 5 times back in general travel is kind of rare, especially on a no annual fee card. And so of course, the most optimal way to use this card is to decide for yourself which category you're going to spend in and only spend on that category for that month. Then everything past $500 a month, or in different categories, use your Double Cash instead to get the higher 2% baseline for any spend. The Custom Cash does also have a 0% intro APR offer, but note how this card stays in a very separate lane compared to the Double Cash. It's also a card that regularly has a welcome bonus, offering $200 after $1,500 of spend in the first 6 months, which is double the time compared to most other cards. And speaking of spending, a nice feature on most Citi cards is the ability to spin up virtual card numbers. Whether you're going for limited time trials where you don't want to get charged after that trial period, or you just don't really trust that vendor, you can set up different virtual numbers for each of these platforms as well as expiration dates, so they won't be able to charge you outside of those set timeframes. Then recently, both cards will give you access to the revamped Citi travel portal as of March of 2023, whereas reported by the Points Guy, offers special perks like access to the hotel collection, giving you free breakfast for 2 daily, Wi-Fi, and early check-in, late checkout as available. Now, both the Double Cash and the Custom Cash are amazing cards on their own, giving you a high baseline of 2% on all of your spend, and the flexibility to choose your own 5% category with no special activations. But to really power up your Citi cards in general, you'll need a card like the Citi Premier, which unlocks several other ways you can get value from your points. For example, you can redeem points through Amazon or Best Buy, redeem them through their travel portal, or get gift cards to different places. Unfortunately, all of those redemptions will give you values of less than or maybe up to 1 cent per point, which is the same as if you just got straight cashback, which I would recommend instead. Although you may want to consider using the travel portal every now and then, not for the points, but for the $100 of savings on a single hotel stay of more than $500 when booked through their portal every calendar year. I personally haven't booked through the Citi travel portal, but I'd recommend cross-referencing with different platforms to make sure the prices are comparable before booking through Citi to trigger that savings. Because that is the only credit you get on this card to try and offset the $95 in annual fees. However, there is a significant welcome bonus on this card that can pay for that annual fee several times over. If you get the card and hit that $4,000 of spend in the first 3 months, you'll get 75,000 points, which at a cashback value of $750 will pay for that annual fee more than 7 times over. Meaning even if you don't use that $100 hotel savings, you're still going to be in the positive 7 years later. And that's if you use your points for cashback. Because here's the power of these cards. Yes, it's not like the Chase Sapphire cards, which will offer you 25 or 50% bonuses when booking through their portal, but the Premier does unlock the ability to transfer all of your points onto the Premier and then transfer to one of Citi's travel partners to redeem for outsized value, usually more than 1.5 or 2 cents per point on average. For example, because Avianca is part of Star Alliance, you could use their life miles to book on partners like United. So you can transfer your Citi thank you points at a 1-to-1 rate over to life miles and then book on some domestic flights within the US for as little as 7,500 points each way, or business class starting at 15,000 points each way, or transfer to Virgin and book Delta flights for just around the similar number of points with low fees, or flying over to Europe in their Delta One cabin for just 50,000 points if you can find the availability, because it's pretty much dead for all the months I looked at when putting this video together. There are a few other great ways to use Citi points though, like transferring to Singapore KrisFlyer and trying to book their suites class with individual cabins. So I'll link some more resources down below. Redemptions aside, the Premier holds its own really well for spending categories too, giving you 3 times points across categories like supermarkets, air travel, hotels, restaurants, and gas stations, with an elevated 10 times back booking hotels and car rentals through their portal through mid-2024, which is a similar rate to cards like the Venture X. It also has no foreign transaction fees, unlike the other Citi cards we've mentioned so far. Then you'll also get access to the luxury collection, which not only gives you the same perks as the hotel collection, but will also give you a $100 property credit for eligible charges and potential room upgrades when available. However, the one caveat is this card lacks some of the travel and shopping protections that some other competing cards do have. So keep that in mind when you're using this card to pay for a lot of your travel expenses. But overall, even if you don't use the points for extremely outsized value redemptions, just getting solid multipliers across common categories like restaurants, grocery stores, and gas stations is huge, especially for people who just want a couple cards or focus purely on that cashback. Speaking of redemptions though, this next no annual fee card can add a nice touch to all of your Citi cards. I wouldn't recommend this card as a solo card, but if you already have some of the other cards, then this is a great addition to help amp up the value of your points. First, as of making this video, there is an elevated 25,000 point bonus after $1,500 of spend in the first 3 months, which is a tad bit more than on the Custom Cash. You'll also get rounded up to the nearest 10 points on all of your purchases, which may sound great, but since we're talking about single or double digit points, it's probably not much in the long run. But there's one main reason why people get this card, and that's for getting the 10% points back for the number of Citi thank you points you redeemed, with a cap of 100,000 points redeemed. So for example, if you redeemed 100,000 points, you'll get 10,000 points back, which is a value of at least $100, which is a nice little kickback, especially with all the points you'd be getting from all of these cards. Now, those were the 4 Citi credit cards that everyone should have on their radar, given their flexibility and redemptions. But for those of you who fly a lot, especially with American Airlines, then you'll want to consider a card like the Citi American Airlines Advantage Platinum Select card. Coming in at a whopping $0 in annual fees for the first year and $99 thereafter, this card also comes with an increased offer of 75,000 points after $3,500 of spend in the first 4 months, which means by the time you're done with that bonus, you'll get enough points to fly from the US over to Japan in Japan Airlines first class, costing just 80,000 points. You'll also get free first checked bags for you and up to 4 of your guests, and depending on how often you travel and who you travel with, can add up to hundreds of dollars. And if you're an American Airlines loyalist, you may want to consider the higher tier card, the executive card, which has a higher $450 in annual fees, but includes Admiral Club access for those times where priority pass lounges that come with most other cards are full. Now, with that said, fair warning, before you go out and get these cards, here are a few crucial rules and gotchas you need to know. For one, you can only apply for 1 Citi card every 8 days and 2 cards every 65 days, meaning you can't go out and apply for the entire Citi trifecta in 1 single day. That just won't fly. So make sure to plan and spread out your applications for the different cards. Another thing is the eligibility of the different welcome bonuses. For example, on a card like the Premier, you won't qualify for another welcome bonus if you've had one in the last 48 months, similar to the Chase Sapphire line of cards. But a great thing about Citi cards is you can product change across different families and types of cards. For example, you can get the Citi American Airlines Advantage Platinum Select card for the elevated welcome bonus and the first year waived annual fee. But later in the year, maybe determine that the card is not for you, and then product change over to a card like the Double Cash, which traditionally does not have an annual fee. In this case, you've had 1 hard pull for the initial card, a relatively large welcome bonus for no extra charges, and got yourself the trusty Double Cash for all your spending needs. Though when it comes to product changing away from a Citi Thank You Point card, make sure that you have another card with Citi Thank You Points open, or transfer those points or use those points so they don't get stuck in limbo when you no longer have a Thank You Point earning card. Now, as we mentioned earlier, there are some exciting rumors about new Citi cards on the horizon, which is no surprise given they've essentially cut off access to the Citi Prestige card, leaving a vacuum in the premium credit card space. They've also introduced an awesome card like the Citi Custom Cash to compete with the popular Freedom Flex and attract even more customers. With rumors swirling that these cards will be available anytime now, here's my guess on what these cards will offer. One, I think the Strata Premier would just be a refresh of this current Citi Premier card. I don't think it'll change that much, but it'll probably be repositioned similar to the Chase Sapphire line of cards, and maybe add in some light travel or shopping protections to sweeten the deal. Then my guess is that the Strata Elite card will be more of a Chase Sapphire Reserve competitor, offering some elite statuses for hotels and car rentals, as well as offering priority pass lounge access or global entry credit. Although it would be amazing if they end up offering Advantage Gold or dare I say Advantage Platinum elite status. It'll also probably have a higher annual fee in the $400 to $600 range with a couple credits to help offset that cost. I also wouldn't be surprised if either of these cards will give a bonus when redeeming your points through the new Citi Travel Portal, similar to the Chase Sapphire cards giving 25 or 50% bonuses. In either case, the credit card world will probably feel tremors when these new cards come out, and other issuers may need to take a second glance at their lineup of cards. I'm looking at you, Chase Sapphire Reserve. But until then, you may want to check out some amazing cards that you've been missing out on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.